Good evening and welcome to today's edition of Let's Talk About. Let's Talk About is a program put together by Trinity United Church to enable us to discuss topical issues that confront us as Christians. For today's edition, we'll discuss starting a business, what you need to know. You can reach us on Facebook and YouTube because we are live, and we look forward to reading your messages via YouTube, Facebook, and WhatsApp. Our WhatsApp number is 050, it's below. So joining me today to continue this discussion, I have three important people. First, I have lawyer Joyce Edu, who is a senior partner, Knight Legal Bureau. I have Mrs. Matilda Osei, who is the Deputy Chief Company Inspector, Head of Client Service at the Office of the Registrar, Ali Nachia and Associate. My name is Edinam Ejesika and I will be your host. So, going into this conversation, let's assume that you're so good at baking and everyone in your family, your friends love what you bake. And so they tell you, why don't you start a business? You're going to make some money. Yes. What do you decide to do? Administratively, legally, in terms of tax, what would you do? And so this is what we are going to be discussing today. To start off with Madam Matilda. So this lady who is so good, baking pie, making fruit juice, making sobolo at home. Every member of the family loves it. And then she's thinking, I want to start a business. What do I have to do? Is it that complex? What would you advise this young lady to do?
Thank you so much. I think it is imperative that once you have a business idea, you should gain recognition and identity and then also be legalized. So it is important that you are in the informal sector and you need to formalize your business so that people will know you. You know, nowadays, if you want to tender, if you want to do a business, sell products or sell your food to any vendor, sometimes institutions, you know, they would like to see your business registration document. And the onus lie on you under the Business Name Act at 151 that you should register that business once it's not your personal name. So you register the business to gain recognition, to be able to use it to open bank account, to deal with other people. Once the business is registered, you can sue somebody can also sue you. Okay. And then you are known. It's branding. Okay. You brand yourself. You can label. The law says that when you register your business, you know, you need to paste the certificate, write the name boldly. Okay. So you have that mandate to do that, and you do it with boldness. It's not like you are shredding in secrecy, so that you can also label the products. Once you are registered, you can label the product, go to Food and Drugs Board, and then do the needful. It's imperative.
Very good. I think you have just highlighted a lot of points that people do not even think about when they talk about registering their business.
Yeah.
They probably just look at it as a way of government taking something from them. But I like the part about branding. Yes. And the fact that you actually have to paste that registration. Yes. And own that. Yes. Business name. So coming to Lawyer Joyce. So now we know and have reasons why we need to register a company. Isn't that complex? Can I just report? What do I need? Unless I'm document. Do I need a lawyer? Let's start with that.
Good evening and thank you for your question and good evening to your audience. It is not a complex situation to register a business. I think fortunately, Office of the Registrar General, I think they are even electronically helping you to register. Okay. You don't even need to go there quite often as we previously do. But then it depends on the kind of business you want to register. Okay. And with every business registration, there's an element of law that makes it necessary for you to engage a lawyer who will guide you, who would help you to make the right choice and to put down the right answers. Okay. So that is the relevance of you having a lawyer to guide you. Okay. Yes. But generally, starting a business or registering a business, it's not that cumbersome, if I would say. Which I believe that Mrs. Evelyn Matilda Osei would attest to it. I would just give an introductory. First of all, you just need to do a search. Okay. Get your business name first. Okay. So, for instance, that Sobolo seller decides to call her business Yas Antoine Ventures. Okay. You need to do a search from the registrar, Office of the Registrar of Companies, to ensure that no one has that name. Then you can start your process. of registering the business. But should you find that there is Ya Santua Ventures, then it means that you can't use that same name. You need to change it. So there's a process that you need to go through, and it's not that cumbersome, yes.
Just picking up on Ya Santua Ventures, if I find Ya Santua Ventures, which I'm sure will be a one-man, one-woman business, most likely, and I want to partner with my sister, but we still want to use Ya Santua. Let's assume I do the search and I saw Ya Santua Ventures. Am I still able, in a partnership, to use a name Ya Santua?
Yes. You don't have to use somebody's name. Once you conduct a search on our search engine, and the name is there, the mandate is on you to change the name. So we always advise that when you want to register, bring about 3 names on a scale of preference. Just psych yourself out that the name might have been used or not. So if you and somebody are doing it, then you cannot do a sole proprietorship, as she said. You know, we have about 6 entities. There's sole proprietorship to up to 50. We have external company, business names and all that, and then non-governmental organization, NGO. So once you are doing it with somebody, it means you move from the sole proprietorship. Once you are doing it with your sister, because if it's not profit, you should let us know. The law forbids if it's an NGO and you say it's not profit, it's profit, and you say it's not profit, you need to let us know. It depends on the type of registration that you do. So once you are doing it with your sister, sole proprietorship is out. And if Ya Santua exists, it might be one of you the names. So you can use Ya Santua, maybe Ya Santua Apex Company Limited, so that the 2 of you, once somebody is Ya Santua, it will be allowed. If you are using a name that is not your name, then you have to add memorial. Yes, so with sole proprietorship, we don't allow you to use global, international, city, Accra. Those days people did it, but now it's part of the business rules. So if you are 2, then you are going in for limited liability or partnership. And if Ya Santua exists, then you can change the name to add something to the Ya Santua.
Okay. So, my friend, the tax lawyer. So one of the fears of people to even attempt to register a company is because they feel they'll be found out. So we talked about branding. If you register, people know about you. There are people who do not want to be known. They want to make money in silence. And one of the main reasons is because they do not want to pay tax. So back to my scenario of a friend who is very good at Sobolo and is making it at home and has decided to register her company as Ya Santua, a sole proprietorship. And then she thinks, now I have to pay tax. And that's the reason why I didn't want to get registered or to be known. What would you tell her? What are some of the tax, what should she think about when it comes to tax?
The first question on my mind is, why don't you want to pay tax? You know, tax is the price we pay for a civilized society.
Okay.
On the lighter note, I saw an interview of a fisherman who said he doesn't see the reason why he should pay tax because he works on water and the government doesn't make water. If it's road, it's a different case altogether. But he forgets about the hospitals and then the other amenities that he enjoys.
Maybe he may be paying tithe.
I mean, to
the owner of the...
It's more like a social contract. So to the extent that you're enjoying certain benefits from the government or the state, I think it's proper that you pay taxes. When you're done with your registration, the first thing to do is go to the TSC office, Tax Service Center office in your jurisdiction of your business.
Okay.
And then register with them. Now that GRA has gone live online, you can get the GRA portal, register on it, and then register on Ghana.gov. Where you can pay all your taxes and all that. So in the beginning, registration with your tax office is very important.
Okay.
Yes.
And so you're saying that even though it's a sole proprietorship, it is still illegal for this Sobolo seller to continue without paying tax?
I don't want to use the expression illegal. It could be an offense.
Okay.
But then so long as you are making income in this country, you are supposed to pay taxes. It doesn't matter whether you're a sole proprietorship, whether it's a tabletop business or whatever. We actually even pay taxes on gifts. Yeah. How much more you making profit? So long.
To add to the startup, I would also want to add that and she's selling Sobolo. There's the need for her to also register with SNET. which is also mandatory under the law, so that monthly you have to contribute towards the SNET.
Register at SNET to pay herself. I mean, I'm assuming that she's probably, as a startup, she is alone. She's the only person doing the business. Does she really need to get registered at SNET?
Making income.
So then she'll be paying...
And she'll be paying herself some salary.
Okay. I hope our listeners are making notes here before...
And that is for her own future.
Yeah. Most of them just feel, I'm doing my own thing, I'm investing my own revenue, and I'll take care of myself in the future if I become old. So there's no need because I'm not...
Under the law.
Okay.
Yeah,
so the law makes
mandates
it
you
mandatory
to.
that so far as you have a registered business in Ghana, you should be registered with SNET. Okay. What would make the distinction beyond just a sole proprietorship being one person? When I come to register with you, maybe this will also have to do with the revenue that the company is generating. So, type of form, now I understand it's online. Do you consider the expected or projected revenue proprietorship or register as some other form of business? Just to break down this question, I want to know if I'm alone as a consultant, I'm making so much money, the only form of business that I can register is sole proprietorship. Is that the case?
Yes. So back to what you were saying, revenue is on our form.
Okay, good.
The latter part of the form. So before you even start, you should have, under the sole proprietorship, you should have commenced the business 2 weeks before. Oh. By law, it's allowed. Okay. Before you register. Okay. So that 1,000, whether 200, nobody will force you, so you can put revenue envisage. And then back to what you were saying, what you are going to do sometimes depend on the business that you are doing. There are some entities or there are some type of businesses you cannot register them under sole proprietorship. Example is bank, insurance company, universities. Even now want to change schools into limited liability because of perpetual succession. You know, most old schools are sole proprietorship, and when the proprietor died, so it's like you have to, the business have to be closed and then the name re-register again, or whilst you are alive you convert are done under sole proprietorship business. So when you want to have a pharmacy, you should have been a pharmacist because we demand your license attached. If you have a loft, that you can register it under a sole proprietorship. And there are some registrations that after you are done with us, you need to go to those. Just after COVID, we stopped the SNET, as Madam Joyce was saying, they didn't come, and then we have the Ghana card people, the tin, those who generate the tin, which is a unique identifier. But coming next year, we'll be using only the Ghana card to generate the tin. So basically, that's what I can say about
registering a business doesn't end there. It depends on your object of the business. And just even to go back a bit, the object of a business is relevant to state when you are registering the business. If the object of this, for instance, of course, or to go into prostitution, or to go to, you know, so those kind of business. So we need to know the object of the business before the Office of the Registrar of Companies to engage the other regulatory bodies. So for instance, you have registered your operations. The fact that you have registered the business before you can commence your business.
You know, I'm smiling. It's simpler.
No, you see, most of the traditional traders is buy and sell of things, because sometimes you are prohibited depending on the name. So if you say Joyce Fashion is leading, it should also not be on the match with the object. So what most people find it easier is coming up with something enterprise, something venture. Then under it, they spelt out a lot of farming. They will bring jack of all trade, master of none. But there are some that as soon as you see the name, something bakery, and purely is bakery. And cuties, and then maybe they are doing spa or something. So we do accept, once it's not misleading or it's not prohibited, we allow them to use such kind of name. And if the name we don't understand, the registrar sometimes want to know the meaning, especially if you are from the north, you use a language. We have the money to ask you that, explain to us, because the forms are in English, everything is.
I can register any of these QTs or without necessarily adding, because I know people that want to register companies as sole proprietors but do not want the word enterprise or ventures added to it.
Yes, it's allowed.
It's allowed.
Yes, it's allowed.
Okay.
But if it's a limited liability, now under the law, the same section 21 says that there are suffixes. So now you cannot register without the name ending with LTD or limited company. If it's an NGO, non-governmental, you have to add it, LBG. If it's a public company, PU, you have to add the ending because of this DKM, so that when you are dealing with a company that cannot make invitation to the general public, it will be known. So that people will not trade with the wrong people. So if you are dealing with somebody, you should know the ending of the name. It will help you whether the person can make invitation to the public, whether you can deal with the person in terms of shares, whatever it is. So most MTN and most of these companies, they've turned their name to public companies, and you can convert from normal company to public company.
Okay, so let's talk some tax. Someone has decided to register a company. Is there a common thing for them to just come and see a tax lawyer just to make the decision as to which kind of company to choose? So they come, and for them, they are looking at the tax implications.
Yeah.
So I would want you to give us just a summary of what a person must consider when they are registering as a sole proprietor, as a limited, some guarantee NGO. What should they look out for?
So we'll look at it in terms of the tax implication.
Okay.
If you have a sole proprietorship, you pay taxes just like any individual in employment.
Okay.
After you've done all your deductions and you have your chargeable income, it's assumed the money is yours, because the sole proprietor, the proprietor is the same as the business. And so whatever is left on it, you pay taxes on the PAYE scale just like any other employee.
Okay.
Now, in the case of a partnership, the chargeable income of the partnership is not taxed, but the income and losses are attributed to the individuals and then taxed in the hands of the individual, separate from the shareholders. So whilst the company will be paying corporate income tax, specific tax implications on these people. But other than that, the tax principles are generally the same when it comes to you doing business. You have your assessable income. The most important thing is maintaining records.
Okay.
We have what you call your assessable income, which is all the income you've earned from your business. And we have what we call the chargeable income, which is the actual income on which the tax is charged. This is basically after you've done all your deductions. For example, your staff costs, your repairs and maintenance, interest on loans, and what have you. So the tax principles are the same, but the tax implications, as I stated, maintaining records. If you fail to maintain records, there's a penalty on it for the tax law saying that I estimate in the year that I'm going to make so much assessable income or so much chargeable income, and then I'll sit down for the GRA to tell them pay this or pay that. But the law allows you to estimate. And then there's the review of the self-estimate. As the year goes along, if you feel like I estimated 100,000, but I might make 500,000, you can review it and then increase it and pay more taxes, if you're as holy as I am. And then we have the, what's it called? The various returns for the various taxes, like withholding taxes. I'm sure we'll talk about withholding taxes in general, but then for every month, at the 15th day of the next month, you're supposed to file your withholding tax return. We have withholding tax in terms of PAYE from your employees. We have withholding taxes in terms of investment returns, and then in terms of payment for goods and services. You're supposed to file returns for these ones. Let's say if you are dealing with November, you're supposed to file by next month, 15th. And then if you are liable to register for VAT, you're also supposed to file by the next month, the last day of.
So still on tax.
Yes.
From what you're saying, so I want us to talk about withholding. When I go and get a haircut, name written there, John Max Barbering Shop, and that's not a register.
Doesn't pay any tax.
Or something, but he's not paying anything to GRA, he's not paying, he feels he's just a small, tiny man in the corner trying to make ends meet. Is it wrong?
It's wrong. As I earlier said, so long as you are making income in this country, you're supposed to pay tax. And the government recognizes, which is an amount that has been stated in the income tax regulation, LI 2244,
Okay.
for them to pay. But even this is on account. Because even though we've said you should pay a certain amount quarterly, you could be making way more than you're actually paying. So that at the end of the year, you account for the balance. So even the barbers have to pay tax.
Okay.
And that's a tax stamp.
So it means the barbers must register.
Yes.
They must be a registered company, and they
Business.
have to pay
Yes.
tax.
Yes,
also.
they have to pay tax.
I was just talking about the tax stamp, and because we're saying Bal and be paying 80 Ghana cedis.
Yes.
Are they on the same?
This barbering shop. And they could charge as high as 80 CDs,
Yeah.
100 CDs when you go for a haircut. Some of these people have registered as companies actually because they stamp. But once you go to the extent of registering as a company, then you do what the companies do.
Okay. So these are all service provider. Are they supposed to? I want us to talk about withholding tax. So these are service providers. So assuming that I go to get my dress made, and in this December is their boom season, so they are sewing kente for about 800 Ghana cedis or 1,000 Ghana cedis, and I want to pay my seamstress or designer. Can I withhold?
Individual, you cannot withhold.
Okay.
I mean, who are you going to pay it to? You're an individual.
I will go and be
So
in
let me take it from the top.
Okay,
As I
good.
said earlier, withholding taxes is in three folds. There's one that you withhold from your employees, which is a PAYE that we all know about.
Okay.
And then there's withholding on investment. There are specific criteria if it's services.
Okay. Okay.
So to the extent that it does not reach 2,000 cities or more,
Is a company
withhold.
Okay, good.
And I know there's a practical challenge where, for example, because you either need a service, you'll be caught on the blind side because you've done so many transactions and you have failed to withhold. And it's your responsibility. Interestingly, even though you can go after the person for the withholding tax, if the GRA imposes an interest on it, you cannot go after the person for the interest. So it's imperative that you withhold.
Okay.
Criteria.
Thank you. So my last question before we go on our break would have to do with the change of name. Ama Loves Kofi Limited.
Easily change. You go to the office of the registrar of company, and again, you need to check, as Mrs. mentioned, whether the new name. So it's possible you can change along the line, yes. And then when you change, you need to again, the name has been changed from Kofi Mensah.
This was change of name,
Yeah.
but assuming I do not want, the business anymore. I understand there are some difficulties sometimes with the joint ventures, the limited liabilities, where maybe they are not tax compliant, they were not paying GRA, they were not paying anything, and then they come to Registrar General and they want to close.
You can close it.
Okay.
Before you close, you make sure that you don't owe, and then you add letter of cancellation.
Okay.
And then that the name you can change via a special resolution. So there should have been a meet decision. But when you are changing the name, you have to know that it affects the constitution. We used to call it regulation 3, so that we can issue you a change of name certificate. Certificate we give. So everywhere you go, as she said, so we'll gazette it for you in our office. But if you want to go started with other business and other entities, so everybody will know that the name is no longer this. I think for 2 months, and then you can further renew, or the process is that you have to write to us to tell us that starts for liquidation without full winding up. So we have the stages. So that one is maybe you are not solvent, then the government have to come in. But if you are solvent, then you can come under the Act 992, and there's a process. I can't because of this.
Before we end the session, I want to add that under sole proprietorship, they do not operate under the Companies Act. They have the Act 151. Then the partnership is under 152. So every business type has the law that mandates or governs it, and it has its process of how it is registered. For instance, sole proprietorship, well, it is really booming when the person passes. So it has its pros and cons. So when anyone wants to...
Such an interesting conversation going on here at Let's Talk About. I hope you have learned 1 or 2 things. We are going on a short break and we'll be back. We are looking forward to reading your comments, your questions.
Change to Philips LED lights, which give comfort to your eyes. Gentle on your eyes, brighter for your home. Philips LED lights. Innovation and inferior LED lights may tire your eyes over time. Change to Philips LED lights, which give comfort to your eyes. Gentle on your eyes, brighter for your home. Philips LED lights. Innovation and you. Philips.
GKV Foods. It was diagnosed with diabetes, and a friend the oil, I realized that yes, there was a significant change in my sugars, which caused me to look more into the coconut oil as coconut shell charcoal. We are looking into other new products, including coconut snacks. Basically, we use the cold press methodology. So at no point do we add heat or any additive for that matter. So it's just pure coconut oil, coconut oil in a month.
With the growing challenges of life in light of both global and domestic development, the Christian is faced with the difficult task of balancing survival within a secular system and at the same time living a Christian life that pleases their Maker. It is for this reason that we need to have frank conversations on the many issues of life through the Christian lens. So, we bring to you Let's Talk About. On Let's Talk About, we talk about health, career, dating, marriage, family, divorce, politics, finance, and all the issues of life that the Christian is confronted with on a daily basis. Join us this and every Wednesday on the YouTube and Facebook pages of Trinity United Church Legon, and let's talk about life as Christians.
Inferior LED lights may tire your eyes over time. Change to Philips LED lights, which give comfort to your eyes.
With the growing challenges of life in light of both global and domestic development, the Christian is faced with the difficult task of balancing survival within a secular system, issues of life through the Christian lens. So, we bring to you Let's Talk About. On Let's Talk About, we talk about health, career, dating, marriage, family, divorce, politics, finance, and all the issues of life that the Christian is confronted with on a daily basis. Join us this and every Wednesday on the YouTube and Facebook survival within a secular system and at the same time the Christian lens. So, we bring to you Let's Talk About politics, finance, and all the issues of life that the Christian is confronted with on a daily basis. Join us this and every Wednesday on the YouTube and Facebook pages of Trinity United Church Legon, and let's talk about life as Christians.
Welcome back. So we're discussing starting a business, all the things that you need to know. Remember that we are still live on Facebook and YouTube, and we are looking forward to reading all your questions and comments. And I would want us to discuss the advantages and disadvantages of the various ones that we have. Maybe, why should I choose a limited liability? Why should I choose, and why shouldn't I choose one of them?
With the sole proprietorship, I would say it's the easiest. If I'm not mistaken,
One-man business.
One-man business. You decide on what to do. You can decide to sleep the whole day. It's you. So it's the flexibility, the convenience, and should I say, others also consider their object. That is why they go into for sole proprietorship and all others. But the other side, high returns, better than even a limited liability company. It's got so much name. It's got names. In fact, their brand is so much. I can mention a few of them, maybe because for publicity I don't need to. But when the person dies, the business ends. Ex-partner or even the existing partners may best. That is, they are the shareholder. Because of succession, Most people business. With limited your liability is up to the unpaid shares. That's it, when there's a liability. And in addition to that, the advantage of for business contracts, they see that, okay, there are others. One man business in a day, so the risk is very high. So it may be a criteria for even when a limited liability company or a private, a public limited liability company or a partnership, just because for the sake of the lower
to the renewal. So with the soul, as she said, with all the advantages and disadvantages, you need to renew annually.
Okay.
Normally, when we give document to people, I realize they don't read. Everything is at the back of the form. So, or the registrar Somutu will compel you to have your. So you don't just file your auditors. That's why when you are registering, you cannot have a perpetual auditor for that period of. So you need to change your auditors after every company in another jurisdiction where you have a branch in Ghana. We call it external company. That kind of registration, you normally bring your account. The assumption is that maybe the company tries to see if the company is going into liquidation and you are running to Ghana to do the business. So, and then we even have the business name subsidiaries. Some want to have a name under a company. So all that one you have to renew. And then with the NGOs, churches, non-governmental organization, as I said, the aim is not to make profit. You can get something to sustain it, but not to make actual profit, because you said you want to voluntarily contribute to a community. So it's not see your auditors whether you didn't work, you work. Yes, because as a company, it's also a company, just like by guarantee. They are all under the Act 992. So you might have bought table, you should be accountable. So the audit, our new system going to the cloud now. We are going to link our system to the Institute of Chartered Accountants, so that if even the accounting firm itself, if you are not compliant, it means you can't even audit somebody. So now that we are autonomous, now that we are semi-autonomous, we will not let people do what they want. Everything will be tied to something, and we are going to be compliant based, because sometimes we come for inspection, we have an inspection team, and then you go and then the books, nothing. They don't know that they have to keep their books, because now when you come to our office, share of transfer and other things, you will have to do it in your office, and then you notify us when you are filling your annual returns. That's the share instrument. So going on, things are going to change. So the annual returns, we are going to rely on it, because it will show the current state of the company and whether you are in good standing by filing your returns under section 126. It's mandatory. And if we call something beneficial ownership, it's, I don't know if you've heard of BOBO. Everybody who is in the company, we need to know whether you are a BO with shares. Somebody doesn't have shares ownership, and it has to be a human being, not.
When one is every officer in the company, a limited liability company or private, the public.
When you are incorporating the amendments, as she said, or when you are filing returns, so there are enough windows for you to file your BU. It's a new thing and that's come to stay. So we need to recognize that.
To file. The ascensions,
Even with the returns, as VIP hours, from 2 hours ago, you should have your.
By the fact that with the people do not know this, and so maybe a lot more education should go into that, because people still have the idea of coming to that number of hours. It costs them.
Call them. Our office, we never call anybody, or you come there in person. Come to the office. That pay through. Yes. So print the without print.
Field is later, and then you be.
They let other people do it, and they use number so that all notification will come to you. If you give us a wrong number,
it's with them, and then
coming after them. So don't give the right. No, don't give the right number.
They bring you the document.
So in my mind, I mean,
that one the information you give is what they've produced.
22 companies in the VAT.
Engage in the sub 70. And that's when you register. And what have you do not need a registration of VAT. You register unless after doing business, you cannot register you for VAT.
So from what you're saying,
education.
You're paying VAT for that.
And then
but I want to register.
Some business convincing that we can. Then the requirements of the country
would always the people to register with VAT.
I heard some the booklet
system.
So
you cannot.
So how much? But realistically, bank or
if everything on the chest just one digit and it's well done, you should get it. Delay them. So these are the things that you'll be going accurate.
That's before.
Or starting a business, company, your corporate salaries. What we call is If it's 15%, if it's also if you are registered for government, the VAT.
Okay, so just that company that I pay, you get it. I'm paying VAT, and then I'm with
VAT component. That is different from direct tax.
Okay.
So for the collecting on behalf of the state, government has to find ways to collect service for so much. And this is a cost on account, which means that you tax is a final withholding tax. So these are the types of withholding taxes. Portion for you to withhold. That's why they say.
Okay, so there's a question for the question, and then trademark.
Word, a phrase that or that name describe that as soon as mark office, just where our trademark go, it is different if you say normally we use if they are not outside, they contract lawyers mark office. That place become a problem. In Nigeria, you have to register it.
Company, they invest Burma. There's another Burma. Because such situations
so with this the name for you just as it is, so that the one who this is the parameters that will be used. You have to
say first to register that by the institute.
People like those NGOs, sometimes you have to also go and protect that if the name
businesses in Ghana as a foreigner and all that. As a citizen, I know people come, and before you know it, they are at walls in their okay.
Foreigners 30 guidance pay the minimum equity, and then through Bank of Ghana, and they say the minimum capital. So the act changed. Okay. So having the names there and jurisdiction, but we will go to of the law.
Okay. Voice incorporated to attend this do startup businesses.
There are some tax really at farming tax of about 5%.
Okay.
It used to be when there's a young business, I think for a period of 5 years, not over the top of my head. Education incentive, 0.5% also. If you register in the free zone enclave, 5% that you pay on
exemption.
Free zone enclave, and then you are qualified. This is the business I'm doing because your registration documents will show.
Friend says
go way of in such a way that you take advantage. You immediately go and start your business.
Okay.
Structuring your business such that avoidance has been limited in a certain way. If there's no economic benefits, even though you might take advantage of illegality. For example, I do splitting and what have you. Those ones might be tax evasion.
We contact our tax lawyers when we want to avoid
absolutely
tax.
Absolutely, we'll gladly help you do that.
Okay.
A workshop I attended, we're discussing competition under the new the intended Competition Act that it's being propagated. And what is about them? So later when I got to know, they have set up their factory out Accra, and they are close to the source of their raw materials. So then their prices are very low. Production is, yes. So, and again, taxes are more or less significant. And the quality of business at a strategic point. So it's one of the, should I say, when one is starting a business, it is one of the things you need to consider. Okay. You don't necessarily need to come to the heat of town. Or because everyone is in Accra, let me start my business in Accra. In fact, this morning, I'm coming back from Koforidua this morning. And over the weekend, I had a discussion. I met a gentleman, we were having a discussion. And quietly listening to him, these are some of the reasons why he migrated from Accra to Koforidua to set up his business. And the business is doing wonderfully well. Good. So these are some of the reasons we need to consider when we want to set up a business. The fact that your colleague is in Accra, you don't necessarily need to be in Accra. The fact that your colleague is in Koforidua and you think that it is close to the source of your raw material, it is source to good labor and all that, you may have to consider those things so then that you can make adequate profits within the shortest possible time.
Okay. Any closing remarks?
Yes, once you decide to do a business, do a feasibility study.
Okay.
And then also make the necessary inquiries from the specialized agencies, because as they were saying, with free zones you need to export 70% of your products.
Okay.
If not, you cannot be a free zone business registered person, and then all the free zones enclave you enjoy lots of taxes. So it is imperative on clients, our numerous clients, to do the needful, to make sure they are legalized, they have recognition and identity. They should register their businesses. They shouldn't wait. Typical Ghanaian, when there's a contract, when they want to travel abroad, then they want, Madam, can you backdate it for me? Madam, can I, that kind of thing. We should register the business. We can start small. Make sure every year we renew or we file our returns so that we are compliant. Then the law will not chase us.
Okay. Tax.
Yes. This is the main camera. So I'll simply say the GRA is a de facto shareholder in your business. That is to say, they share in your profits.
Yeah.
And depending on how compliant you are, you might be giving them a lot more of your profits. Compliance is always the key. Let me hold brief for my GRA brothers. If you comply, you save yourself a lot more trouble. Compliance is the first stage, and then from there we can look at other tax planning measures so that you don't pay too much taxes. So do well to comply with your tax obligations.
Okay. Lawyer Joyce, anything?
Yes, my final remarks. I think we should all be prudent in the decision that we make when we want to start a business. And I would also admonish that regardless the size of the business or what you are trying to do, register, because it may start today as small, but tomorrow it may end up as a big business that you would require the full documentation that you need to gain more business or to gain more contacts. So register your business. It doesn't take much. It doesn't take much process. When you're not clear, you just consult a lawyer. A lawyer will assist you to get through all those documentations. So that is what I'll say.
Thank you so much. And thank you to our viewers. Register your business, be tax compliant. We look forward to Let's Talk About next week, where we'll be continuing our series on business. Also, I'd like to wish our minister in charge a happy birthday. May God bless you this day, and see you all next week, same time. Bye.